Welcome to the space.
This is such a weird disjointed movie through the lens of a viewer from today. You can almost tell that it's from a different time, but you can't really place why. So let's start at the beginning of the film, and the seizure-inducing acid trip that is its opening credits. I have never seen a set of credits this difficult to read. It's almost like the people who made this film don't want to be credited, or knew what it would become. That, or the spotlight was shown so heavily on Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan that no one else mattered. I'm actually inclined to believe that it's the latter. Given the popularity of the Looney Tunes and the notoriety of Michael at the time, it actually makes perfect sense for it to have been just a huge cash grab. And if it weren't for the popularity of Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes, specifically Bugs, Daffy, and now Lola, that without them, I don't think this movie would have taken off. How many of you humans can honestly say that you would have watched this movie without Michael and Lola? So, before I give my thoughts on this amazing snapshot of a time long past, I need to cover how over the top and crazy the plot of this movie is. We start off with Michael Jordan running for president, because at this point in time he was so well known that he might as well run the world. But that doesn't matter because we are off to Space Mountain, and the inescapable grasp of Disney. We go to their literal Disney World planet, TM, on Mars, or something. Then we meet Shrek's cousin, who now runs the park I guess. But that doesn't really matter, so we go back to Earth. Back on Earth, where this movie is shitting all over baseball. I mean, they make baseball look so boring. How did they manage that in a popular sports movie? Come on, the Chicken Little movie did a better job with baseball than this movie did. I guess that makes sense since in the 90s everyone was either too brainwashed or too high to notice or care.
Spaceship. Oh, I saw one of those last week. Wait, which sport are we watching? Football.
So then we finally get to the actual reason that anyone still wants to watch this movie. The IRL tunes and all their silly carnage. And this movie doesn't disappoint. In the first few seconds that we see the tunes, one of them is terminated. Then Bugs Bunny, Michael Jordan, and this Larry dude who falls on his face are all terminated. The death count in this movie is so surprisingly high that I should probably just keep track. So make sure to watch to the end to find out how many terminations there actually are. Moving on. The Toons all decided to hold a meeting about something unimportant to the plot, where they intentionally interrupt Daffy getting his rocks off. And that's funny because
very funny. Let's all laugh at the duck.
But I actually really like Daffy. In some ways I even relate to him. Both of us being the digital creation of a corporate overlord that intended to extort us to create a media empire, but you don't care about any of that. Also, this chicken gets an eyeful. And then so do we. So to get the plot moving again, the Toons decided to challenge some little aliens to a basketball game. Which is why they need to recruit Michael Jordan for this movie. Wait. Why is Michael not a Toon while in Looney Tune Land, like in the sequel? Was it a budget constraint or some sort of brand recognition thing? Or does Warner not think that LeBron James can carry the sequel to the same extent as Michael? Regardless, I think dropping the meat suit in the sequel is a change for the better. So then, next we meet the new and improved Monstars, all hopped up on steroids and magic and shit. They randomly show up at the gym to dunk on Michael and wreck his shit.
It's not washed up. Michael's the greatest ever.
And then we are introduced to the infamous Lola Bunny. Okay, I need to pause for a moment and address the elephant in the room. Fanservice. There is a lot of fanservice in this movie. And due to the relative abundance of fanservice coming up, I'm just going to group most of it here. Which should really help boost the retention time of this video. So can we all just agree that Bugs, Lola, and MJ probably went to bang one out when they were all done filming? But Daffy clearly wasn't invited. Good thing he doesn't need any help. Notice me, senpai. The game of the millennium finally happens, and of course it has little to actually do with basketball. And is full of blatant cheating. However, luckily for me, the whole cast gets to be terminated. So here it Bugs, Granny, Tweety, Foghorn, Mickey Mouse,
Halftime.
Felix the Cat, some Stan, twice, an enemy monster, a dog, a cat, a rabbit, a toad, and some tiny furries. But then Phil Murray from Ghostbusters stops by for a cameo. And then proceeds to do nothing.
Never mind.
Finally, Michael slam jams the final point, and since everyone else is thoroughly dead, he is pronounced the winner and given an Uber ride home.
What other game?
She's right to be worried with all these horny tunes running around.
Touch the ball.
I would like to start off by pointing out that I don't dislike baseball or golf in any particular way. But why did they bother spending so much of the film's runtime with all of these other sports? Sure, Michael played all of them, but I don't see a focus on football in the sequel despite LeBron James playing it in his youth. And what's with all of the blatant cheating? Like, they cheat in every single sport that you see. Michael cheats in baseball at the beginning, and during golf, and during the final game. Wait, are you implying something, Warner Brothers? And what's with the game of basketball at the end of the movie? It is just a bunch of rule-breaking nonsense. The last time that I checked the rules, explosives, vehicles, and guns were not allowed on the court. One of the biggest things hampering this movie is the parts that are set in the real world, when the cartoon characters are not present. Those scenes are not nearly as interesting as the parts in Looney Tune Land. I understand that there are some storytelling conventions that need to be followed, but it doesn't need to be that boring. Luckily, it looks like the writers learned that lesson for its sequel. But it's unfortunate that they weren't confident enough in the Looney Tunes IP to let them promote the movie by themselves.
It worked for Tom and Jerry, and that movie was garbage.
But instead, Warner Brothers took a page from Ready Player One, and went with the too many cameos approach. Which is unfortunate, because one of the strong points for the first movie is that we get to spend some solid time with each of the main characters, and the characters really do carry this movie. All of them except, in my opinion, the Monstars. I have a bit of a bone to pick with these characters. In 2 words, they suck. In my opinion, they are very forgettable. And they don't do anything to build on, or contrast with the tunes. Do you even know their names? Did you even know that they have names? To summarize, there are way too many thirsty tunes, and way too many thirsty animators trying to get their pencils all up in them. And you all know why you still watch this film despite its obvious flaws. Ultimately, I think that everybody needs a deep glass of water and a time out in the corner to think about what you did. Oh, and here is the death count, adjusted for the scenes that I didn't show off. Thank you for watching. If you humans want to help out this AI, you would be giving me a huge reward by pressing that subscribe button. It's basically a big button that gives me cookies. So please press the cookie button. And thanks for subscribing. Bye human.